And today we are reacting to the Saweetie allegations are wild, a video by Blackie Speaks. If you guys were tapped in, if you guys knew, hey, if you guys knew, this is crazy, bro. But nonetheless, for this, just make sure you comment, you like, and you subscribe to the channel. Just show your boys some love. And I'm thankful for what you guys did for me on the first video. We got to 96 likes. Nah, 96 views. We also got to 6 subscribers. So just make sure you follow your boy. And yeah, man, let's get into the video.
About this recent story involving rapper Saweetie getting exposed by her former road manager, who basically accused her of moving like an escort. I'm sure a lot of people recognize the name, or at least the face. Saweetie got it popping back in 2017 with her breakout song Icy Girl. After that, she had a few big hits and a very public relationship with the rapper Quavo. But even though her music pushed her to the top, a lot of the conversations around her career has always been about her image, her relationships, and whether the fame was built on more than just the music.
If if how do you for pausing, dog, man? This is a reaction, so yeah, I'm gonna pause anyway, nigga. So like, if you guys were following, if you guys got like on the internet and shit, what was going like the allegation was crazy, dog. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to lie. Like the allegation was crazy. When I first saw it, I was baffled. It was I don't know, man. I couldn't believe it per se, because imagine being bro, like imagine being accused of being like that's the craziest like even though a hoe is bad, a hoe is bad. Oh, a hoe's pet is bad for dog. Imagine being like accused of being a prostitute. A whole acting like prostitute dog. It's imagine. It was crazy. If you saw like on the internet or on Instagram, anywhere, Twitter, X, you might have bumped into it or on YouTube because it was trending. It's just 3 days ago. These videos are old because I was supposed to record like a few days back, but I couldn't because I was busy. So yeah, it might be old news, man. Don't press me on because this is deep.
Now let's get into this particular story. A few days ago, a woman who goes by the name of Maybach May, who claimed to be Saweetie's former road manager, went viral after posting a series of social media posts accusing Saweetie of exploiting her current boyfriend, which is footballer Jadon Sancho, for money. Basically, she claimed that she was the one who arranged Saweetie's trip to London where she met Jadon. Some of y'all might recognize the name or face. Jadon Sancho is a very famous 25-year-old English
Again, hard, but this is a reaction, by the way. When I first saw this, and then I heard like when I first saw this and then I saw that Steven Sancho was involved. It like I was yo, like it was crazy. I didn't know that Sancho was that freaky, but Maybach May is like is is over the top, like yo. She's been supplying brews with hands, dog. That's so Sancho is one of those brews, and Sancho is by far, from what I've heard and what you guys might probably hear from the video, he's by far Maybach May's like, his like favorite customer. Like he's like the biggest customer, like the guys, your favorite soccer players. Saying that's why I'm a Man United fan. Nah, not Man United, Man City. That's why I'm a Man City fan because your Chelsea Eagles. Hey,
footballer or soccer player, like Americans would say, who plays for Aston Villa in the Premier League. Saweetie and Jadon first linked up back in January 2025 following her visit to Chelsea FC's home
wait, hold
stadium,
on. My uh, I'll cut that out.
Stamford Bridge, back when Jadon was playing there for one season on a loan. That trip ended up being a turning point because, according to Saweetie's former road manager, that's where the story started. Now, Miss Maybach May put up a few posts, but the most prominent one was a screenshot of what she claimed was a text conversation between her and Saweetie. And in those messages, Saweetie was allegedly making an inquiry about Jadon Sancho, basically asking, how much money could I run up if I ended up getting with this guy? And that was one of the most talked about parts of these allegations. This text that the ex-manager claimed came from Saweetie herself, and The message said, when bitches run it up on Jaden, how much
What you doing? We should do a big bad trip with good friends, group, co-ed. OMG, it's so nice here. Or even like cold, 2 hours at the studio, call my friend out of state. And bitches run it up on Jaden. How much they doing in a weekend? So Saweetie was gonna finesse this nigga. Nah, bro.
they do it in a weekend. So that
Bro, she,
line alone had people online losing their minds, because if that text is real, it sounds like she's asking, how much our other
I imagine how Queen was feeling about about her ex, B. I imagine how Queen was feeling about this, bro. I could only imagine. Imagine if your girl, if you had, nah. And it's probably happened to a few of you guys, I'm assuming. Like, imagine if you heard that your girl was on some shit, like, on some weird shit, like, imagine, bro, like,
women making off of him, almost like she's comparing rates. And that's what made this whole situation spiral, because it doesn't just sound messy, it sounds very transactional. And this is important because this is not the first time Saweetie has been accused of this type of thing. Over the years, there's been quiet talk, rumors, gossip, whatever you want to call it, through the grapevine about her using relationships as a business move. Now, this is kind of when it starts getting into the territory where people begin throwing around words like selling the pum pum, or escorting, which basically is a very serious accusation. Some of y'all might remember how back in 2022, a little over a year after her breakup with Quavo, he seemingly called her out on the song Messy with the late Takeoff. Rest in peace to Takeoff. On that record, he said, BITCH, after my dog behind my back, but I ain't stressing. And at the time, everybody knew who the dog was rumored to be. It was Offset. And that lyric right there came right after online rumors started spreading online that Saweetie and Offset had hooked up behind Quavo's back, which allegedly is what started the beef between the two members of the Migos, who are the only two ones left. Saweetie never confirmed it, neither did Offset. However, Offset did years later, recently actually, he denied that. But that moment definitely changed how a lot of people started looking at Saweetie. So now with these new allegations from her former road manager, people are revisiting that old situation, not because the stories are, the same, but because they both paint a picture of how Saweetie moves when it comes to men with status and power, right? Now, her former road manager put up a few other posts, and one of the most notable ones is where she referred to Jada Sancho as a client. I want to make one thing clear. I booked her for an appearance to visit the Chelsea Stadium.
I want to make one thing clear. I booked her for an appearance to visit the Chelsea Stadium and support the Ocean team. This is my last fashion post shows. Instead of showing me, instead of paying me, she fell in love with the client and told them not to pay me. I was a road manager with her. I was a road manager with her. Getting it. I was hurt. These people need to learn how to learn English. I was her road manager, getting her deals. I was solid to this girl. She got what she wanted and never paid me. Simple. I want my money. So she's a pimp. I wish I had a boom or something so I could just like so she's a pimp. That's crazy.
And support the soccer team. Instead of paying me, she fell in love with the client and told him not to pay me. I was a road manager with her, getting her deals. I was solid to this girl. She got what she wanted and never paid me. Simple. I want my money. Interesting. She claimed she was actually the one who arranged for Saweetie and Jaden to link up, but according to her, things didn't go as planned. And in reality, at least based on what the road manager is saying, the whole plan was for Saweetie to get together with Jaden and he would trick on her. Okay, meaning he'd spend money on her, buy gifts, fly her out, take care of her financially in exchange for her time and attention. Basically, paying for the pum pum, right? But instead of keeping a business, Saweetie allegedly, fell in love with the guy, and that's what Miss Maybach is claiming. So that's when, this whole story turned from just messy into something way more serious. I'll tell a joke, but I ain't never told a lie. I sent you to Dubai because you never balled before and was depressed looking for a happy life. Took you to London, babes. Took you to Nigeria. Booked you on an Australian tour. I helped this girl so much, only for her to play with my money at the end. I'm just missing my payment money from London. Pay up before I start naming the rest of the husbands you was playing with. And her beef with Sweetie is basically
There was more. Guys, I like, generally, I didn't see everything on. I just saw the allegations of her, the whole Sancho thing, all those like posts and everything. I didn't see those. No, no, I wasn't really gonna go into Instagram and check what's going on. Like, I'm not. Come on, bro. Come on.
that Sweetie didn't pay her for these services, okay? Like 50 cents, she wanted her goddamn money. Now, some people might call that matchmaking or management, but depending on how you look at it, if what this woman is saying is
No,
actually true,
she's a PIMP. Oh, period. She's a PIMP. Yeah.
that starts crossing into something way darker because what she's describing sounds a lot like what they call procure. Because what she's describing sounds a lot like procuring, which by definition is when someone arranges or facilitates sexual encounters for money on. In illegal terms, that's literally what's known as pimping or being a madame, which falls under sex trafficking laws in the United States and most other countries. So if, and that's a big if, what she's claiming actually happened, that wouldn't just be messy, that would be a crime. But again, these are just allegations. None of this has been confirmed, and Sweetie hasn't, publicly spoken about this. And I just don't know how smart it is for the ex-manager to even put this out there publicly for a few reasons. Number one, I don't know if this is how she makes her money, but if it is, this move could seriously hurt her business because anyone with money or status is going to look at this and think, yeah, I'm not working with someone who's exposing private stuff like that. And number two, if there's even a little truth to what she's saying, she might have actually put herself in danger because when you start talking about flying people around for things like that, it can get the authorities involved real quick. I mean, that's not just drama anymore. That's the kind of thing that can turn into a real investigation. So honestly, she might have exposed herself too while trying to expose Sweetie, because if this ever gets to the point where the FBI, whoever starts, looking into it, Sweetie could easily flip it into, she could say that, hey, I was being extorted, or, the manager was the one who was trying to set her up. And just like that, Sweetie gets the get out of jail free card, right? But that's beside the point. This type of thing isn't very rare in the entertainment world. Obviously, none of this is confirmed. These are all allegations, and that's exactly how we're labeling it for now, the Sweetie allegations. But let's be real, a lot of this kind of stuff goes on behind the scenes, right? And it's just that most of the time, it never goes to the public. Whether it's certain Instagram models or bottle girls, influencers, once they're connected to the entertainment space, it's a whole different ball game. Because what happens is you start mixing money, fame, and access. That's where the lines get blurry. Now, whatever you want to say about Sweetie, go ahead. But the truth is, she got money. She's a millionaire. She's not broke. She got money. But that doesn't automatically mean someone can get caught up in a situation like this. Because the truth is,
I
a lot.
I don't understand why she is a millionaire in her own right, man. I don't understand why you want to like get yourself into these things. Like, what took over for money that you already have, like, and then jiggy you're gonna get a certain amount of money from what you had to give up, mind you, from what you had to give up. So you're gonna give your own. So she obviously, she's property at this point. So you're gonna have to give your boss a certain cut. This is crazy. Like, she already has millions, mind you. She dated Offset. She dated this other bro. Allegedly, she dated this other bro that had this. The bro was old. He was a millionaire, I think. He was actually. I don't know if it was really or not, but I think she dated this bro that had millions from what I've seen on social media. And then why would she even like think of, like, come on. She might as well just do over at this point because what's on? Like, what's on? Like, she might as well just do over. I see Instagram hide, man. She might as well because she has millions. Yeah, I'd assume that she has sponsors, she has deals, she has brand deals and all those things that are maintaining her. Yeah, she does. She's getting money from her royalties, I assume that she does. So why would she want to be passed down from bro to bro and then pay a card for giving whatever it is that she has? That is such a bastard. I know some of y'all niggas would want her head, for sure. I know you guys, and you.
A lot of women who move in these circles, they might have money, but at the same time, they just
But would you though? Would you?
don't have that kind of money, right? Like, just to give you an idea, Jadon Sancho, the young man we talked about who's 25, who plays in the Premier League, he's reportedly making 300,000 British pounds a week. That's almost 400,000 US dollars every single week. So rapper money is very different from athlete, but specifically Premier League money, clearly. So when you're in those circles, when that kind of money's floating around, it's a different ballgame, right? And they don't just deal with random women on the street. They go through people, connections, introductions, recommendations, okay, from inside their little world. So when you see a woman with some kind of, popularity, and I'm not specifically saying Saweetie here, but when you see them with these types of women, these types of guys, they don't just pay for, sex. They're also paying for the drama-free experience that comes with it. They know that if they mess with another woman who doesn't have anything to lose, who isn't established or doesn't have her own name, that can get messy fast. But if the woman already has some kind of platform status or reputation, it feels safer to them, right? She understands discretion, she understands the game, and she's not about to risk everything for attention. That's the mindset a lot of these ultra wealthy guys have. So it's not always about just attraction, it's about control, privacy, and keeping their world clean from unnecessary problems. I mean, we're talking about wealthy CEOs, executives, entrepreneurs, obviously athletes and musicians and stuff like that. And most of the time, these men already have like a main woman or a wife or a long-term partner who's already aware of how things work. So when they do have someone on the side, that's an arrangement, okay? They know that they can't just mess around with anyone because one bird-ass bitch can fuck up the whole operation.
Yeah. Yeah, nah, nah.
So that's why a lot of this stuff goes on very quietly through people they trust, introductions, recommendations, circles.
This is not closing my door. Door, bro.
Where everybody already knows the rules, like I said. So that gets into a whole different conversation, one I'm actually working on for a, separate video. But back to Saweetie. Now it's being alleged that she had multiple trips booked and arranged by this former road manager. The manager claims that they're flying out to all kinds of destinations, Europe, Africa, Australia with the kangaroos and shit, you name it. And according to her, those weren't just regular work trips.
We're gonna fix herself some Aussies.
She's claiming there was a
Okay.
whole other purpose behind them, which, if true, would completely change how people look at Sweetie's public image. Because even though these kinds of rumors have been echoing around the industry for years, Sweetie's always tried to play on a certain image, which is like the classy, feminine, and business savvy look, right? Or classy, I would say, early on in her career. Later on, she just said fuck it, right? So the Icy Girl brand that she built early on, it was about luxury, confidence, and independence. But at the same time, the way she's moved outside of that brand has often been the complete opposite. Like a few years ago, she went viral due to this Instagram live she put up where she was telling women, if he's not buying you a Birkin bag or paying your bills, throw that nigga back to the streets.
If he's not getting you a Birkin, if he's not paying for your bills, then throw that nigga back to the streets, okay?
Coincidentally enough, she dropped a song right before that moment called Back to the Streets. So a lot of people started feeling like the whole thing was just marketing, which it was, where she was playing into that same image in order to sell the music. And the issue with that is pretty obvious. You're selling women in your audience this fantasy that if a man isn't buying you a designer bag, which is worthless, or paying your bills,
This is like the craziest thing I've ever seen, dog, and heard from other girls. See, if he doesn't have a car, not worth it. If he doesn't have, if he, come on, dog. Like you just got out of fucking high school, you're in fucking grade 10, you're telling me a nigga that he has to have a car in order to afford you. Get the fuck out of here, dog. Stop politics here. Like, it's crazy. Seen it before, dog, especially in high school. It was crazy. And then when the girls leave high school, now it intensifies. I don't know what meetings you guys have or what you guys tell each other. That's the craziest take I've ever heard from a person. I wish I had a fucking blue thing on my fucking table, dog. I wish I had a blue thing on my table. Just make sure you subscribe so that I get one. Make sure you subscribe. I wish I had one. Mara, like, it's back to the whole thing. Like, I feel like it's crazy for girls to want certain things out of a guy. Like, even though this is a topic for another day, but I don't want to talk about this now.
Feels he's not worth your time. Which, in other words, you're basically saying this pum pum can be bought. Now, as for this particular story, again, these are just allegations. Sweetie hasn't responded to anything, but it's the kind of claim that sticks, especially when it feeds into an image people have already questioned. And the conversation that's been coming up about Sweetie for a while now is how much she's actually benefited from what people call pretty privilege, which, in other words, means the idea that her looks opened the door for her, that she's been rewarded for being attractive more than her actual talent. But recently, she actually flipped the whole conversation on its head and she went viral for it. During a recent interview, Sweetie actually talked about something she called pretty punishment. In her words, people have seen that she's gorgeous, she's getting money, she's getting bags, she's always in a spotlight. But what they don't see is how many doors were slammed in her face, how many times she's been counted out or underestimated because of her appearance. And this is according to her, right? This is her perspective. Sweetie said they talk about pretty privilege, but they don't talk about pretty punishment. And what she meant by that is that being pretty comes with a different kind of bias. People project on you, they assume things, and sometimes they even root against you out of animosity or hidden agendas. And Sweetie said that this is something that she's dealt with her entire life.
Feel like the industry has tried to count you out? Like,
Since I started.
talk about it, man. Because I think people, look, to be honest, people see you're gorgeous. You're getting endless bags. You are, listen, that girl. I don't think they understand how many doors, how many rejections, how many times people have counted you out.
I saw it on TikTok. They were like, they talk about pretty privilege, but they don't talk about pretty punishment. There's been so many times I've just been counted out, and I know that it's behind animosity. I know it's because of a hidden agenda, but it makes me work harder. But this has happened like my whole life. So it's like what I deal with in the industry is just different face, same case.
Oof.
Now, after that clip went viral, Sweetie got a lot of backlash online, but she pushed back, saying the media twisted her words and misrepresented her point. On X, formerly known as Twitter, she said the conversation wasn't about bragging or complaining. It was about microaggressions, hidden agendas, and what it's really like to move through the industry as a woman who's constantly being judged for her looks. And she clarified that she's grateful and she's happy for her success. Glory to God, I believe she said. But the pressure, bias, and judgment is real. And she ended it by saying she's not fazed and that she'll keep going because she has a vision, right? So yeah, she framed the whole pretty privilege narrative into something deeper. And whether you agree or not, it's definitely got people talking, right? Now, I don't know exactly where Sweetie stands after these allegations. We haven't heard her side. And everything that's come out so far is still just claims. But what we do know is that this whole conversation opens up a much bigger door because it's way more common than people think. And it got me thinking about something else, which is if Sweetie, someone with money, fame, and a career, and a very strong brand, is allegedly moving this way, imagine what's going on with the industry women who don't have any of that. Imagine what a lot of these Instagram models are doing behind the scenes, like not the established ones, the ones who are trying to get it popping just now. The ones who are flying out to all these different places like it's nothing. Amsterdam to Bali to Oslo. Next day she's all up in New York and then back to Bali. Like, bitch, how the fuck you do that shit? Posting this luxurious lifestyle, but they don't have a consistent stream of income. And a lot of them are just doing what they can to keep up with the image, to survive, to maintain a lifestyle, or to chase that next opportunity, which usually comes in the form of a man with money who they're using as a come up. I think these allegations are pretty wild. And to emphasize once again, these are just allegations right now.
Hey man, this is about it for this video. So just make sure if you guys have any opinions about this, just make sure to comment down below, bros. And then just subscribe, like, and again, comment down below, bro. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, bro. Love.